when you have the inclination to be your 0-1-year-old and your 3-year-old, you will know of expansion of consciousness. Okay, so come on over if that's the case. That means you love all people, not just some. You also don't fall for sentences like this, that there's a type or group of people that lack imagination for evil and that justify evil and that are soft on evil or any of that, because evil is a group of people who need a good therapist. And there is enough of dehumanizing and stigmatizing of the groups that are in the mental health community of sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, and just any of the mental health group. We don't need to demonize, we don't need to romanticize. So grown-up land is where we work with people who want to expand their consciousness. This is a very straightforward equation. At IHP, we do emotions and thoughts. When we meet a narrow sense of self, you will know because they think they're invincible, like a 12 to 24-year-old who's moody and who doesn't take ownership. Now, I learned how to take ownership because I'm a person who has, my ears are listening. So I'm like, yeah, I notice my emotions and I can take ownership. And I became my own safe haven, secure base. Because when I compared myself with my social system activated, because our adolescent years is where we'll look to our peers from our attachment. So your 1-year-old, if you're not securely attached, you can earn that by moving home to yourself. That's not drugging, fucking, drinking. No, none of that. It's actually working with your adaptive child, maladaptive child, and structural dissociation. And we do that here too, because you can work with personal development and self-help. But I always have on call my good therapist that I know I would reach out to if I needed them. And they've told me millions of times, it's good. You do personal development. All of what you do is fine. You'll know if you need us. So I do 1-to-1. We have a master class in the making for groups. And then we have Ask Maria for the paid subscription-based model content. Once we get to 1K on YouTube, we're going to add to YouTube. Okay, so if you are a 1 to 3-year-old who wants to expand, you're going to notice when that comes up. Okay, so Healthy Self-Worth Woman here, I get to meet people of all types and all walks of life. Pacha, don't go lecturing Cuscos. So we don't lecture anyone. I'm not a martyr superior and I'm not a blamer. But I also won't allow you to get away with your love-dependent mannerisms of manipulation and desperation. Meaning I will sound to a person cold as ice, not on purpose. I just knew that that's what it sounded like as a teenager. So when I was a teenager, I, for a short time, did what I considered stupid things. I'll never forget. I had my conversation. And I said, well, you know, the grown-ups mentioned that peers do. What did you decide? Well, I decided to stay open-hearted, like Jesus taught me, and also because I want to use the word love. If I close my heart because others don't know how to be kind, then I'm a liar to say I love people. I also choose forgiveness because it feels right, because I'm flawed and imperfect, and I choose to continue behaving in a way that is, I'm going to treat you the way I want to be treated. Straightforward. So solo polyamory, why do we get to be solo? Because I know how to regulate my own 1-year-old when somebody's being completely insensitive and moody and doesn't know how to say, I'm insensitive and moody right now because I have some triggers going on. Okay, so somebody who knows their self and is getting to know their self, that means they're returning home to their first 3 years of life. Otherwise, they think nightmares are meant to be. No, they're not. Nobody's meant to have nightmares, flashbacks, terrors, PTSD, childhood trauma. No, that's not how your first-year-old wanted to begin life. Unfortunately, there's a lot of 1-year-olds who didn't get what I got. Okay, so when I got to my adolescent, I didn't fear inadequacy. I saw all these teenagers being the same thing I was in my book, stupid, S-T-U-P-I-D. So now that I'm a grown woman, once I got to college, I saw people being stupid again. Then I got busy with life, and I am still busy with life, but my life involves personal development, self-help. So I started to get learned on attachment trauma. My mysticism, that comes into the mix as light workers. We all are light workers. And in fact, the 4D, they do a shit show with a lot of things. We're just going to leave it alone. But you better bet there's no saga or drama for a 5D mystic with any one of our oversoul. We don't get rid of people. We don't walk alone. This is a sentence for the mantles. Elsa journey, show yourself, I'm dying to meet you. And they just stay on that wheel of karma. In fact, you'll notice them. I notice who they are. In fact, in a very specific way. Okay, so when you're ready to expand to be I am presence, you're seeing an example of it. It's a human being. That's why when Sadhguru says if you overflow with humanity, divinity has to descend. It's not a divinity with some religious textbook. It's that you and I are energy flow. When you have integration of the brain, thank you, Daniel Siegel, for the explanation, consciousness and change. I don't feel changed ever, but that's because I didn't have disruption from my Maria restorative embodiment, the self of me. I stayed aware with my prefrontal cortex. So as a teen, when people said, do this, and I did, there's this one thing I did, and I was scared shitless. And I said, Maria, you're stupid. You know you don't like heights. Why the fuck did you do this? I didn't curse at the time. I just said, I'm never doing this again. Now you have to go in. And all these kids were laughing at me. And I'm sure that was not a tall, whatever it is that I threw myself in water. Nothing happened. I was not having fun. And I just told myself, okay, you're not doing this again. No matter how many times they tease, you tried it, you couldn't get back down. And so to this day, people tease me and I will find it humorous. I will not take it personally, but if my body doesn't want to do it, you can keep speaking from today till tomorrow. And you know, the people who love me, here's where love to me means that you want me to be comfortable. Because we're not in a movie. That's it. So if you don't care that I'm comfortable, then I know you lack the sensibility and sensitivity, and therefore you lack openness towards that which is the emotional plane of any person, which is what a 0-1-year-old will want. And I will know how to be my own safe haven, but that will mean I will know how to be more aware of my emotional and mental needs than you will, which will equate we don't have a depth of experience going on because you did not tend to care in a way of noticing. Now, again, it's not a competition, so we don't be like, oh, they're not a great person in my life anymore. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that a person who has healthy self-worth knows what it means when somebody doesn't have depth of perception of wanting to say, let me give you a hug, because, wow, I don't want you to be afraid. That's humanity. And it's never let me make you feel like it's too much or too little, And I said never, because that's what a person who's an aware inner child will say. Which is why to this day, you present to me children, I feel bad for every child I will ever see. Not because those parents aren't doing the best they can. No, I know they are. But I'm just feeling bad for every kid because I didn't have this lack of awareness. And so anytime I'm upset, but see, it's because I got a mother and a twin that allowed me to stay comforted. And that's why when people tease, oh, you're afraid, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I want to live life. What do you want? Yeah, I don't have to be you. I want to be me. I don't want to be you. Okay, so as an adolescent, I didn't fear this inadequacy. What I saw was not only people not keeping their promise, doing things that were responsible, getting people in trouble, and the minute that they were needed, the ones who said they'd be there, none of them. And what's even more interesting is as you grow up and you have exchanges with other people that live the same years, and they want to say that people of those groups had each other's back, well, that's where, how can I explain? Having each other's back equals that I care for physical, emotional, and mental safety of all included, not that I'm living some movie in the action movies. So any human being who doesn't know how to use their prefrontal cortex, I will notice it because they're going to be a stupid idiot in the way that they behave. And anybody who's been in actual risk situation will not flaunt, let me be in those situations. A person who will have had to deal with scary, shitless situations will say, it's not really funny to be fucking around like this and talking like you're big talk. That's stupidity. So intelligence is when people are grounded in reality, which I see a lot of teenagers out there. They're grown-ups, but they act like they're teenagers. And the therapists have shared with me what pseudo-aliveness means. So again, this is a discourse on healthy self-worth men, women, and theys. We don't act like teenagers. We don't feel inadequate when we see people doing risky things. We think, what are you doing? How old do you need to be to get out of whatever this is? And then we think good therapy is really important, as is personal development for a lot of people, and disengaging from talking about relationships like you need boxing gloves on. What is this? Who has what back? So reliable people, they talk in your face. They use their prefrontal cortex. Unreliable, I've seen it. Yes. They have low energy. They're fizzling out. because they actually live a brain that is on go with karma and stories from yesterdays as a narrow self. In fact, they don't expand to realize they're part of the human herd. You'll notice who they follow. It's all Peter Pans, Wendy's, and Days. But for the grown-ups, come on over. Let's choose love and expansion of our lovely humanity.